Welcome to Global Equine Perspective. This will be the presentation of Lil Red, and I'm the trainer, Tamara Stafford. She's a 2-year-old filly, Thoroughbred, and we're going to present not only her training and breaking for her future as a racehorse, but we're also going to present a lot along with it that interlude, especially a filly. She's recently started her heat cycles, and I had a filly years ago like this, and sometimes it really interacts with their lower back and their ability to use their lower back fully. And some trainers use Regimate and other chemicals to override the discomfort. But along my path, I've noticed that you get a lot more done not using chemicals, and perhaps for a final performance, which that's another podcast, why, in the interim of becoming a racehorse and training in between races, I've found it that they can usually, most of the time, grow out of it. And with my long reining, I've been able to take the weight off the back. Presently, if you saw her come up the hill, you'll see her, she's stabbing her hind legs with her toe, and as you can see here, she's not wanting to use that part of her back. That's why I'm on this slope of 4 to 6 degrees, because I want her to facilitate those muscles, but not contribute it to a rider or the focal point of looking at a racetrack, or have any feelings whatsoever towards this having anything to do with her memory of saddle bridle. Notice she's cross cantering. That's another thing that happens a lot when fillies start their heat cycles for the first time. They'll stop and they'll cut their back off and separate themselves. She's quite short coupled, and so she can pretty much do anything she wants to do when she's not, as I put it, tied together. At Global Equine Perspective, we're going to have different trainers that are here. They have different ways of expressing something, so we'll have an ongoing dictionary. And my expression for tying together is from the dock of the tail to the point of her nose, essentially. Anyway, here she's still warming up, and I have a couple months worth of videos that I've made into presentations under her subscription, and you would see then that she's extremely consistent filly, and this is definitely different from her usual behavior. Now, whether it be her heat cycles, or perhaps you have to start thinking, and this is what I want to bring out, especially bringing this filly forward, all the perspectives trainers have or should have. She could have gotten casted, and we have therapists with all sorts of equine therapy nowadays, but I've noticed that horses, even older Grand Prix jumpers, they'll do a buck or initiate something to readjust their hindquarters, and essentially that's what she's doing. So what I mean to bring forth also in training this 2-year-old and in public to everyone that is interested is the fact that a lot of, when you get to know your horse, a lot of their idiosyncrasies especially, and they change all of a sudden one day, like she did the day before this film was taken. Well, first you get your thermometer out, and then when that's all great and all the legs are cold, then you have to wonder about if she got casted in her stall late at night and put her lower back or pinched a nerve. In her case, I'm pretty sure it was a heat cycle. I have seen this injury type of, well, not injury, but type of form of, how do I say this, discomfort. That's the best way to say it. In horses that have been ridden by, good riders, but essentially they were competing, or exercise riders on the track there are quite a few that are lopsided. They ride to one side, or as we called it in the old day, AC-doocy. And on a young horse like this, it really makes a huge difference because they're not used to the weight, carrying the weight on their back, galloping, etc. But she's not galloping every day. In the industry standards of North American racehorse training, they would be saddled up and galloped, and to get away from their discomfort. Unfortunately, they're learning a muscle memory and a mental idea. So Lil Red here is going to publicly show she's a very talented classical little filly, and demonstrates huge heart, and as you can see, she's quite short coupled. So the hill not only accesses a way to facilitate the muscles without getting into her face and balancing her up without getting in her way, and you'll see a huge difference not only in her muscling, in her nomenclature over the ground, in the way she holds herself from now. I thought this was a really good introduction because she's going to change so much in the next couple of months, and when you see her galloping for her first race in the spring, practically won't recognize the difference. But see, she's still readjusting, and I've had fillies before, and those first few heats can really. I had one filly in Canada take a door and a window out in her stall. They usually grow out of it, and see there she's doing her equine therapy. There was a wonderful man, Dr. Loudermilk, who helped me intricately with a filly much like this. She was further along and competing, and she broke so solidly from the gate, in the starting gate. About every 3 or 4 starts, he'd readjust her hips, and if you've never seen it done, it's pretty weird to see, but they'll take the hind leg up in a parallel position and then pop it, almost like humans are popped by their doctors. So, but it's really funny too because the horses really like it. Now, after those first few bucks and letting her release that discomfort, she's still not convinced, and she's still, she's 2 years old. So going down the hill, because I keep her head up and out of the way, she has to drop her haunches and use her hindquarters. And as you can see, she's cross-cantering again. She doesn't do this pretty much ever. And this is why yesterday I really noticed a difference. So we're going to the right, And that's something I want to mention. She's relaxing now and using her back, because if you want to put this film back, you'll see she was more or less using her hocks like pistons and her knees. And now she's, when they stretch their neck out there and lower it on their own volition, no side reins, they're really popping their lower back. And you can see that perhaps because of her relaxation, we're not going over a huge circumference of ground, but she's pushing off like a pendulum from her back, and then her limbs are swinging the axis of the pendulum. Even there, going down the hill. Now going right, we're going to be tickling other parts of that lower back that we didn't do before going to the left. And so I slowed it down here, because now she's getting tickled just like you or I would be tickled under the arm. And being a 2-year-old, she's going to say something about being tickled. I love long reining. I've been breaking and training racehorses now for over 35 years, and it facilitates giving infrastructure to the horse, not only physically but mentally, and not associating it with the rider. Because when I get on her to ride her and others get on to gallop and breeze, she's not going to have the mentality at all to do with this. Now she's readjusting her hips. She's very much a gazelle. I think after her racing career, she should be a freestyle horse. Anyway, but see, she still has her independence. And in horse racing, but I do it in sport horses too, they have to have their sovereignty to have a great horse if you really want to go anywhere, even to their own potential, even if it's a good trail riding horse. But as she stretches more from behind, you can see that she's placing herself directly from the dock of her tail up to her nose. And even though she goes into the counter canter, with the sensor gloves that we'll be using for the internet, you'll see the censoring on her feet too, that all 4 feet are having the same weight, and both hind feet are pushing off with the same push off. So even though it looks Harrio Venerio, that was an honest counter canter. And I might add, she did it voluntarily. I just am using her to keep her hips square, going up and down the slope, and keeping her shoulder as much open as possible. And so the gravity and keeping her hips square are really the part that are going to the deep flexor muscles in the lower back. And blood flow is key to any healing, whether it's heat cycles or they put themselves out, by being cast or turning or whatever. It's circulation. So you can see I have a full podcast of this particular training session, and she's happy and not doing her tail like she was when she was hitting her heat cycle. So we've gotten the blood flow in the lower back. We have her mentality still cheerful and happy to get up tomorrow and go again. And we most importantly have it not related to racing or rider or anything to do with her future. This is what I really hope to bring forward after hundreds of horses that I've been training. I sort of munched a library together, and that's how you get better. And I want to share my library in real time through technology, and so it's not esoteric or exoteric. and now she still owns herself and doing her drama thing. You see me smiling there because she's just being who she is, and all that'll develop and mature as a 3-year-old, and without breaking her spirit and individuality, so she can really focus and bringing all that into focus as a racehorse, and most importantly, a happy life. So that was a successful training thing, and that's Lil Red. I hope you join us because we have a variety of horses, and Lil Red is an exceptional filly. And I haven't met a Lil Red for quite a time now, and I think she's going to be quite interesting perspective. Thank you.